welcome to Family We've Got Your Back. This week we're going to talk about something that I've been thinking about for years.
Years.
Yeah. And I think I've kind of got a handle on it, on the theory behind it, but we'll see. So I've been wondering why people in general typically treat their family members worse than they treat strangers. Like, they're perfectly polite and respectful and considerate of strangers, but then they come home and they yell at their kids because their backpack's in the middle of the floor. Or they didn't get the dishes done.
Yeah.
Or some expectation wasn't met, and so they're irritated and angry. Whereas they would never be that way with someone that's just an acquaintance or a stranger. And so why do we give ourselves permission to mistreat, I guess, our family when we would never do that to somebody else?
Well, and you know, and I've been pretty bad at this. I mean, I'm not. I feel like I'm a good father.
I'm not saying you're not.
No, you're not.
And this isn't based off our dynamic or anything like that.
No,
but it's just something that we've noticed, like that you don't really know how someone treats their family if you don't see them with their family. So your perfectly respectable coworker that's polite and kind at work, you would think they'd be the same way at home, but oftentimes they're not.
Yeah.
And so why is that? Why do we give ourselves permission to be unkind to those that we should be kindest to?
Well, and it is tricky too, because I think about, you know, we try to raise our kids to a high standard.
Yeah.
And so when they fall short of that standard, then it's our job to educate them. But we need to do it in such a way that's not judgmental, but that's inspiring to become that better person, right?
Right.
And so, and with strangers, I don't have any expectations. Zero expectations.
Right.
They can swear at me, and I mean, it might impact me a little bit. But if my
it doesn't
kids
matter.
swear at me, sweared, then yeah, that's going to be upsetting.
That's true. And I do think it comes down to expectations, which is an episode that we've had previously of when we have expectations, we feel like we could hold people to a higher standard and therefore treat them a certain way based on their fulfillment or not fulfillment of our expectations. And that's just not the case.
Well, and the number one expectation should always be to love your family, to love the people. And so that's where those come at headlockers, right?
It's an expectation of yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And so if you don't meet that expectation, you're like, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
But if someone else doesn't meet your expectations, then you're really upset and angry and vindictive almost.
Yeah, can be.
Yeah, and then there's another part of it where it's, well, I'm just being myself around them. I can relax. I
can be mean.
No, not that I can be mean, but it's like I don't have to be so careful because they understand. They get me.
Yeah.
So I can say something rude and sarcastic or whatever, and they won't get offended because they get me. They're my friend. They love me.
Right.
And that's counterintuitive.
And they can love you.
Yes.
But you're also, when you do that, when you're being mean, then you're setting them up to be mean as well.
Yeah.
Potentially.
It's a kind of a little bit drip by drip poison into the relationship. There's a common saying that says, loving someone means never having to say I'm sorry.
Oh.
Or meaning that you don't have to apologize because they love you. Or, no, that's the opposite.
Yes.
I love you means I will not do anything that needs to be apologized for. And that would be the goal. The inverse of what is commonly defined by that statement is actually what we're trying to achieve.
Right. Yeah. It's like I said, it's okay to have standards, but whenever people fall short of the standards, then you need to respond with kindness and love.
Yes.
That way, they won't become your enemy.
Well, yeah, and you don't want your kids to be your enemy.
No.
You want them to
be with the family.
Yeah, you want a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with how they think about you. Because a relationship basically only exists in your own mind. Because the relationship that you have with someone is not the same relationship that they have with you.
Right, yeah.
Because of the way they think and feel about you. And the way you think and feel about someone is how you perceive the relationship. But they can completely differently. Perceive it completely differently. So yeah, that's the two things that I would like to address today. Is the one is how the expectations you have of them determine your treatment of them, and then the other way is your guard is down and you are relaxed around people, and so you don't think before you speak, type thing.
Yeah.
And so I came up with trick, a little tool, I guess.
Yeah, it's a tool, not a trick.
A tool that you can employ to help yourself not mistreat your family members. So I heard about this, I can't remember from whom, but they had I think it was one of my professors. He had a potted plant on his porch, and he would call it his trouble tree or something like that. I can't remember. This has been like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And he would stand, before he would go into his house, he would stand in front of the plant, and each leaf would be something heavy on his mind. Something that would distract him from being present with his family.
Oh, sure.
Or interfere with the way he treated his family. Because I believe that he was a therapist or some sort of counselor or something like that. And so he had a lot of stuff in his soul that he did not want to bring into his house.
Yeah.
And so he would leave those thoughts and emotions and troubles on the leaves of these trees, like as he touched it.
Like a physical thing.
As he touched it, he would transfer that emotion or thought or energy to the holding place, and then he would be able to walk into his home with a positivity and presence that would benefit his family, instead of, I've had a hard day, leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he wanted to be a good husband and father and be present with his kids and have a relationship with his kids that was not as a result of his work, if that makes sense.
No, I think it does.
And so the idea of putting it on hold and not taking your troubles out on someone else helped him. Another therapist, Larry, I can't remember his last name, sorry. He had a patient that was a doctor, and he could not sleep. He had trouble sleeping because his mind was just going. And so he advised him to have a bucket or a garbage can by his bed and then pretend to hurl up all his worries into this garbage can.
That might be extreme.
And think about his worries and just be... and just get them out, and then he would be able to go to sleep. And it worked. And I was like, okay,
Curious.
then.
Yeah.
Interesting. But the idea of consciously transferring...
letting go of these things. Yeah.
Of these things that are could interfere with your sleep or relationships or whatever it is. Consciously removing them from you so that you don't have to worry about them for right now. Or if it's... Anyway... is one idea that can help you be the kind of person you want to be with your family.
Well, and to put on the different hat, right? It's like there. I mean, when I get off work, sometimes I'll come home and tell you about my work day or whatever. But I don't think that I'm really hashing stuff,
No.
It's a different thing because I'm just talking with my wife about school.
And I want to know about your life, but that's not
the same thing. So
that's not the
yeah.
same thing. So
there needs to be something that you do. Yeah, there's a release.
That when we talk about your day, there's a release of the frustration that's not released onto me,
right?
But out of you, like the release on a pressure cooker. Relieves the pressure in there so it doesn't explode, right? That's kind of what this idea is there's whatever works for you, find a release.
Find a release.
If it interferes, if coming home with the baggage that you're carrying with you is interfering with your relationships, and that's one way to stop mistreating your family. Another one is what Trent talked about was how you don't care about what how the stranger, like they're like just a passing person in your life. You don't know about them, and therefore you don't care what they do to you, in a sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't care what they do. Right? But in the other sense that you are polite to them because you don't want this stranger to think you're an awful person, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's both ways. It's like you care enough about them to not want them to think negative of you, but you don't care enough about them that you care what they do, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a,
Well, yeah, and it's the same kind of dynamic like when you have a new coworker or something like that.
Right. You want to make a good impression.
You want to make a good impression.
Yeah. And so the impression you want to leave with other people is strong. But when you already know someone, you're past the first impression, right?
Yep.
And so they know me, they know that I'm a good, kind person. And so if I mess up every once in a while, it's okay. And yes.
Yeah.
But if you abuse that, then it's not okay.
There's definitely a crossing. There's a line of no return, basically.
Yes, the point of no return, or crossing of a line. Yeah.
So it's you got to be careful because once you cross that line, you're still stuck working with this person or associating with this person,
or your family, or you blow up at your kid, and your kid now hates you. Type thing.
Yep. So you have to be wise and just never approach the line. Just be loving.
Well, yeah. And I guess the point is that your disappointment in them or your unmet expectations, or you wanted a peaceful evening and you're not getting a peaceful evening, so you blow up at them. Your expectation does not justify mistreatment of them.
No.
And so
it also doesn't justify you ignoring it either, though. True. Right.
Yeah.
So that's something that has to be mentioned as well, because a lot of people they're so tired of caring about their kid that they just give up.
Right. Well, and I think a part of that is that they just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Everything they've tried doesn't work. Right?
Yeah.
And so they revert back to the easy thing of yelling or whatever. Being angry or just punishment or
just nothing.
Mistreatment or ignoring or whatever it is that is your issue.
Yeah.
So just remember that your disappointment does not make it okay for you to mistreat someone else.
Yep.
And then finally, the I can be myself around people. Of course you want to be authentic. Of course you want to be your true self. But you want to be your best self.
Yeah. Not
the worst part of you.
Yeah, we always need to be continually improving. And so...
Yeah, like the story of the two wolves live inside me. Which one devours the other? The one that you feed, or I'm mixing up my metaphor. But which one will prevail? The one that you feed.
The one that you feed.
So if you're going to feed the one that instantly reacts instead of uses their higher brain and thinks, okay, what can I do in this situation? What is the best thing to do? Or do you live off instinct? You know what I mean? It's like, I prefer to use my brain and make choices instead of just turn off my brain and react, because when I react like that, then it's usually the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't like it when I let myself just react. I prefer to choose my behavior. And so that's the homework for this week, is choose your behavior.
Choose your behavior.
Toward your family. And yes, you can be relaxed and kind about them. Relaxed around your family. And you don't have to be on or performing like you do at work or whatever. But you do still have to watch what you do and say. And think. Because your family matters more.
Yep.
So all the care and concern that you give to the outside world, it matters even more to give it to your family and to those you love. So
Excellent.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So this week, choose how you want to respond when your expectations are not met, or that you want to be relaxed and yourself around people. Choose who you want to be. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Email me at familywevegotyourback@gmail.com, or leave us a comment on Facebook, or however you can reach us. We're on Spotify as well. And we're trying to figure out how to be on Twitter, because Twitter is a different beast. So
Apparently.
let us know what you think, and please subscribe. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.